There are moments in life when silence feels heavier than pain. Moments when you prayed, cried, begged for answers, and heaven gave you nothing but waiting. You wondered if God forgot your name. You questioned why doors kept closing, why people kept leaving, why your spirit felt trapped between destiny and delay. But what if the silence was never abandonment? What if God was preparing the exact moment when your soul would finally be ready to hear the truth? This message is not random. You did not arrive here by accident. Something deep inside you has been restless lately. Your spirit has been sensing a shift. The battles became stranger. The dreams became more intense. The loneliness became louder. And now, suddenly, it feels like the pieces are starting to connect. That is because heaven has been waiting for this exact moment to reveal what was hidden from you all along. God waited because earlier versions of you would not have understood the weight of this revelation. The pain had to mature you. The betrayal had to sharpen your discernment. The isolation had to disconnect you from voices that were drowning out the voice of God. You thought you were losing everything, but in reality, God was removing distractions so you could finally hear him clearly. There are truths God only speaks when a person reaches spiritual maturity, not when they are comfortable, not when they are surrounded by applause, but when they have been broken enough to listen with their spirit instead of their ego. And that is where you are right now, standing at the edge of revelation. Tonight, heaven is pulling back the curtain. The confusion is about to make sense. The delay is about to make sense. The warfare is about to make sense. The tears are about to make sense. Because God waited for this moment to tell you everything. There is a reason your spirit has been feeling different lately. You are not imagining it. You are stepping into a season where hidden things are being uncovered. God is exposing what was working against you behind the scenes. Some people smiled in your face while secretly praying for your downfall. Some connections entered your life only to drain your energy, delay your purpose, and confuse your path. But God saw everything. That is why certain relationships collapsed unexpectedly. That is why certain opportunities disappeared right before you touched them. God was protecting you from destinies that looked good on the surface but carried destruction underneath. Sometimes rejection is divine protection. Sometimes the closed door is actually mercy. You kept asking God why things fell apart. But now God is asking you, what if I was saving you from something you could not see? Chosen one, your life has never been ordinary. The attacks against you were proof of that. The enemy does not waste energy on people who carry no purpose. The reason your battles felt heavier than everyone around you is because your assignment is heavier too. You were male, arced long before you were born. That explains why you always felt different, why crowds never satisfied you, why fake conversations exhausted you, why your soul craved something deeper even when the world offered temporary pleasure. You were never created to blend in with darkness. You were created to expose it. And now God is finally revealing why the warfare became so intense recently. The enemy sensed that your breakthrough was close. Every delay, every distraction, every emotional attack was designed to stop you from arriving at this moment of awakening. But despite everything, you survived. Read that again. You survived. The fact that you are still standing after everything you endured is proof that God's hand has been covering your life. Many people would have collapsed under the weight you carried silently. But somehow you kept moving. Somehow you kept breathing. Somehow you kept believing even when your faith was hanging by a thread. That somehow was God. God waited for this moment because now your spirit is finally strong enough to handle the truth. You are entering a season that will change your entire life. The old version of you cannot enter where God is taking you. That is why the transformation had to be painful. Diamonds are not created in comfort. They are created under pressure. And the pressure you experienced was not punishment. It was preparation. God says, I allowed the fire because I saw who you were becoming. People misunderstood your silence. They misunderstood your distance. They misunderstood your transformation. But they did not know heaven was rebuilding you from the inside out. There are some of you listening right now who have felt emotionally disconnected from people you once loved deeply. You tried to force yourself to stay connected, but something inside you changed. That was not cruelty. That was spiritual elevation. God cannot take you higher while you remain attached to environments that keep pulling you lower. Not everyone can go where you are going. And that truth hurts. Because sometimes the people you wanted beside you forever were only assigned to a temporary chapter of your story. God had to teach you that attachment can become idolatry when you place people above purpose. Some people became your emotional addiction, and God had to break those chains so you could depend on Him again. Yes, the separation hurt. Yes, the loneliness felt unbearable. But look at you now. Stronger, wiser, more discerning, more spiritually aware than ever before. The pain opened your eyes, and now God is saying, "Watch what I do next." You are about to witness a shift that nobody around you will be able to explain. The same people who doubted you will suddenly see favor on your life. Doors that stayed closed for years will begin opening unexpectedly. Opportunities will find you without force. Clarity will replace confusion. Peace will replace anxiety. Strength will replace exhaustion. Why? Because when God decides the waiting season is over, nothing can stop what He releases. This is why the enemy tried so hard to break your confidence. He knew that once you discovered who you truly were, you would become unstoppable. He knew that if you ever fully understood the authority God placed inside you, fear would lose its power over your life forever. Chosen one, stop speaking about yourself like you are weak. Stop calling yourself forgotten. Stop acting like heaven abandoned you. You have survived attacks specifically designed to destroy your destiny, and yet you are still here. That means God's purpose for your life is still alive. There is something else God waited to tell you. The betrayal was necessary, not because you deserved pain, but because loyalty to the wrong people would have destroyed your future. Some betrayals were actually divine interruptions. Imagine if certain people stayed in your life while God elevated you. Imagine if God blessed you publicly while hidden enemies still had access to your spirit. They would have sabotaged what heaven was building. So God exposed them through distance, conflict, and separation. What looked like loss was actually protection, God says. I removed them because I heard conversations you never heard. And now everything makes sense. The sudden changes, the strange endings, the feeling that certain people became cold overnight. Heaven was cleaning your environment before your elevation. You are entering a season where discernment will become your greatest weapon. Not everyone who supports you publicly supports you privately. Not every smile carries pure intentions. That is why God allowed disappointment to sharpen your spiritual vision. From this day forward, trust your spirit more than appearances. God is teaching you how to recognize energy, how to recognize manipulation, how to recognize destiny connections versus destiny distractions. You asked God for growth, but growth requires separation. You ask God for elevation, but elevation requires transformation. You asked God for purpose, but purpose requires sacrifice. Now you understand why the process hurt so much. Because heaven was preparing you for responsibilities bigger than your comfort zone. Some of you have been feeling like your old life no longer fits you. The conversations feel empty. The habits feel meaningless. The environments feel spiritually heavy. That is because your spirit has outgrown places your soul once settled for. Do not shrink yourself to fit environments God already called you out of. You are evolving, and evolution always feels lonely before it becomes powerful. God waited for this moment because if He revealed everything earlier, you would have tried to force the outcome yourself. But now you finally understand surrender. You finally understand timing. You finally understand that God's delays are not denials. Everything happened exactly when it needed to happen. Every heartbreak, every delay, every closed door, every lonely night, every tear, none of it was wasted. Heaven was building your testimony. One day people will hear your story and be shocked you survived it. They will see your peace but never fully understand the battles you fought privately. They will admire your strength without realizing how many nights you almost gave up completely. But God knows. God saw every silent cry, every panic attack, every moment you smiled publicly while breaking privately. And still He kept you alive. That means your story is not over. In fact, it is just beginning. The next chapter of your life will not look like survival. It will look like alignment. Things are about to connect faster than you expect. The confusion is lifting. The spiritual fog is clearing. You are stepping into a season where your intuition will become stronger, your peace will become deeper, and your confidence will become unshakable. Do not fear the changes coming. They are necessary. God is removed. Limitations from your mind first, because the next level of your life requires a new mentality. You cannot carry old fear into a new season of favor. You cannot carry insecurity into a season where God is calling you to lead. You are not who you used to be. And deep down you already know it. That restless feeling inside you is not anxiety. It is transformation. God waited for this moment to tell you everything because now you are finally ready to become who you were always meant to be. So stop doubting yourself. Stop begging for validation. Stop mourning doors God intentionally closed. The season of confusion is ending. This is your awakening season, your rebuilding season, your elevation season. And after everything you survived, you have earned the wisdom that pain gave you. Now walk forward differently. Move with discernment. Move with confidence. Move knowing that heaven has been guiding you even in moments when you felt completely alone. Because the truth is, God never left you. He was simply waiting for the right moment to tell you everything. And now, chosen one, there is one final truth heaven has been trying to place inside your spirit. Your life is entering a season of divine separation. Not everybody who walks beside you in this next chapter will understand you. Some people will call you distant. Others will say you changed. But what they fail to realize is this transformation always looks strange to people who are committed to staying the same. God is removing the need for human approval from your spirit. For too long, you watered yourself down just to make others comfortable. You stayed quiet when your soul wanted to speak. You ignored your intuition because you feared being misunderstood. You carried emotional weight that was never yours because you wanted to save people who were committed to drowning in their own darkness. But God says, no more. This next season requires a stronger version of you, not colder, not cruel, just with, spiritually mature enough to recognize when your energy is being drained, mature enough to stop chasing people who only remember your value when they need something from you, mature enough to understand that protecting your peace is not selfish, it is necessary. Some of you are entering a period where your circle will become smaller, but your clarity will become greater. Fewer people, less noise, more peace, more focus, more alignment with your true assignment. And yes, there will be moments when the silence feels unfamiliar, because chaos became so normal in your old life that peace almost feels suspicious. But do not sabotage the calmness God is finally bringing into your spirit. You fought too hard to arrive here. There is a reason your soul has been craving solitude lately. Heaven has been trying to pull you away from distractions so you can hear divine direction clearly. Your next breakthrough is not going to come through noise. It will come through stillness. That is why God allowed certain plans to fail. You thought your future was connected to specific people, specific opportunities, specific dreams. But heaven saw what you could not see. God saw the hidden motives. God saw the dead ends. God saw the emotional traps disguised as blessings. So when things collapsed, you cried. When people left, you broke. When doors closed, you questioned your worth. But now you finally understand. God was not destroying your future. He was redirecting it. Chosen one, there are blessings coming into your life that will make your old prayers look small. The reason God delayed certain answers is because He wanted to exceed your expectations. Sometimes heaven says wait, because what is coming is bigger than what you originally asked for. You prayed for survival. God prepared purpose. You prayed for comfort. God prepared transformation. You prayed for answers. God prepared revelation. And now the timing is aligning. This is why your spirit has been feeling an unusual pressure lately. You are standing between two versions of yourself. One version is still attached to fear, doubt, and old pain. The other version is the person God has been shaping through every trial you survived. And the battle you feel internally is the sound of transformation happening in real time. Do not run from it. The discomfort is temporary, but the growth is permanent. God is teaching you how to stop operating from wounds and start operating from wisdom. There is a difference. Wounded people react emotionally to everything. Wise people move strategically. Wounded people seek revenge. Wise people seek peace. Wounded people chase validation. Wise people know their identity without applause. That is who you are becoming now. A person who no longer needs to prove their worth to anyone. And listen carefully, because this next part matters deeply. The enemy wants you exhausted mentally because exhaustion weakens discernment. That is why the attacks against your men became so intense. Confusion, anxiety, overthinking, emotional heaviness, random fear, sudden hopelessness. These were not random emotions. They were spiritual attacks designed to disconnect you from your purpose. But despite all of it, you are still here listening to this message. That means the attacks failed. You survived nights that should have broken you permanently. You survived heartbreak that almost destroyed your ability to trust. You survived disappointment after disappointment after disappointment while still carrying faith in your spirit. That is strength. Real strength is not loud. Real strength is surviving silently while nobody understands the war happening inside you. And heaven saw every battle. God saw you pretending to be okay while your soul felt shattered. God saw the nights you begged for relief. God saw the moments you almost gave up completely. And every time you thought you were alone, heaven was closer than you realized. Chosen one, stop interpreting delay as abandonment. Seeds grow underground before anyone sees evidence of life. And just because people could not see your growth does not mean nothing was happening. God was developing your roots privately before elevating you publicly. Some blessings cannot arrive until your spirit is mature enough to maintain them. That is why patience became part of your training. You wanted immediate answers. God wanted lasting transformation. You wanted quick success. God wanted deep wisdom. You wanted escape. God wanted evolution. And now you are beginning to understand why the process took so long. There are people watching your life right now who secretly expected you to fail. They thought the pressure would crush you. They thought betrayal would make you bitter. They thought delays would make you quit. But instead you became stronger. That is what happens when heaven places purpose on someone's life. The attacks may wound them, but they cannot destroy them, because destiny carries divine protection. And listen to this carefully. You are closer than you think. The breakthrough you prayed for is not years away. It is unfolding now. Some of you will experience sudden shifts in the coming season. Unexpected opportunities, divine connections, emotional healing, financial restoration, spiritual awakening, clarity about your direction. But before those things fully arrive, God needs you to release your attachment to the past. Stop romanticizing seasons that nearly destroyed you. Some of you keep reopening emotional doors that heaven already closed. You keep revisiting memories God is trying to heal. You keep missing people who only existed to teach you lessons. Let them go. Not everything lost was meant to return. And the faster you accept that, the faster peace will enter your spirit fully. You are not behind in life. You are not forgotten. You are not cursed. You are being prepared differently. Some people receive blessings before they receive wisdom, and because of that, they lose everything quickly. But God loves you enough to develop your character before elevating your position, because what heaven is preparing for you requires stability, discipline, discernment, and spiritual strength. This next chapter will not be built on desperation. It will be built on alignment. No more forcing. No more begging. No more chasing people who cannot recognize your value. What belongs to you will find you naturally. That is what happens when divine timing enters your life. Chosen one, your energy is changing. Your spirit is becoming more sensitive to truth. You can no longer tolerate fake environments without feeling drained. You can no longer entertain conversations that damage your peace. You can no longer ignore your intuition when God warns you about certain people. That is growth. Do not apologize for evolving. The old version of you tolerated disrespect because you feared losing people. But the new version of you understands something powerful. Losine, you yourself is worse than losing anyone else. And heaven is proud of your progress even if nobody else notices it yet. Every day you choose healing over hatred, you are winning. Every day you choose discipline over destruction, you are winning. Every day you continue despite exhaustion, you are winning. You are not weak for feeling tired. Warriors get tired too. But tired does not mean defeated. And God says, the battle exhausted you because your calling is significant. There is influence on your life. There is purpose on your life. There is something inside you the enemy has been trying desperately to silence. Your voice matters. Your presence matters. Your survival matters. One day you will understand why you had to go through everything you experienced. One day the confusion will transform into wisdom. One day the pain will become part of someone else's healing because your testimony will help people survive battles they thought would destroy them. Nothing you endured was meaningless. The tears carried purpose. The isolation carried purpose. The delay carried purpose. Even your darkest season carried purpose. And now heaven is calling you forward, not backward, forward. Stop staring at closed doors. Stop mourning expired seasons. Stop chasing people who abandoned you when you needed support most. God is doing a new thing in your life, and the next version of your life requires a different mindset. You are no longer the person who begged for acceptance. You are no longer the person who ignored red flags. You are no longer the person who doubted their worth every time someone walked away. You are becoming spiritually dangerous to darkness because you finally understand your value. That is why the enemy fears your awakening. Once a chosen one discovers who they truly are, manipulation loses power over them. Fear loses power over them. Shame loses power over them. And that awakening is happening inside you right now. You are remembering strength. You are remembering your purpose. You are remembering that God's hand has been on your life from the very beginning, even when you felt abandoned, even when you felt broken, even when you felt invisible. Heaven never stopped watching over you. So hold your head higher after today. Walk differently after today. Pray differently after today. Because the waiting season is ending and the revealing season has begun. God waited for this moment because now you are finally ready to hear the truth without fear. You were never ordinary. You were never forgotten. You were never fighting alone. You were being prepared for something greater than you imagined. And from this moment forward, your life will never be the same again.